with KY3. It's a summer celebration for you and me. Traveling to places that you want to see. Come celebrate the Ozarks with KY3.
We called it Celebrate the Ozarks. For 2 weeks last July, KY3 News broadcast live via satellite from 14 hometowns across the Ozarks. It was a simple idea: take the news team on location to do stories about people and places in the Ozarks. But it was a complicated undertaking, requiring months of planning and thousands of miles traveling. What you saw those 2 weeks was the result of that work. What you're about to see in this program is how it was all done. So join us now for a special look behind the scenes with Celebrate the Ozarks. Hello, I'm Ed Filmer in the KY3 Action News studio. Normally, we do the news here, but last summer we thought it would be interesting and fun to try something different. We decided to leave the studio, take the newscast closer to the people who watch the news in towns across the Ozarks. So we packed our bags, loaded up tons of cameras and lights, and left for a couple of weeks. It was an extraordinary experience, one we will never forget, and we want to share with you some of what happened behind the scenes when we went on the road to celebrate the Ozarks. The morning of July 21st, 1986, the KY3 parking lot in Springfield. 28 people get ready to hit the road for 2 weeks. Reporters, photographers, technicians, producers, directors, engineers.
Ready? Oh, yeah. We're all just ready now.
A team of people who'd worked months preparing for this moment.
Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Let's just all stay together on the way down there and see how it goes.
I thought it was the most exciting idea that had been put forth for a long time. I thought it was absolutely great before I knew anything about the technology or how it would get done.
I was thinking, what is this going to be like? Is everything going to work?
It was scary when you first get into it. I mean, the project was so massive compared to anything we've ever done before.
This made it possible, a portable satellite uplink antenna. With it, engineers can beam live television from anywhere. It's the latest technology, only recently available to local TV stations. The crew brought truckloads of equipment, virtually a TV station on wheels. Rented from an Oklahoma City TV station, it's the same kind of outfit that networks use for ball games. The setting for the first day's newscasts, Alley Spring Mill in Shannon County, Missouri. The staff had scouted each site, mapping out camera locations, finding local people to interview. In the days before they left Springfield, news crews photographed and edited stories and wrote and planned every newscast. Everyone knew what to expect, but realized they'd have to deal with the unexpected.
And then we'll come back to the set for the top of page 3 when Leanne begins to read. Tony, there will probably take...
At last, the meetings, the run-throughs, the setup completed. It was time for the 6 News.
How long have we got?
It was the first on location, the first time anything like this had been attempted in the Ozarks.
Stand by.
They knew they were about to make local television history.
Live from Alley Spring, Missouri in Shannon County, KY3 Action News celebrates the Ozarks.
And a most pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to our first stop in a 2-week tour of Missouri and Arkansas as the KY3 Action News team celebrates this area we all call home, the Ozarks. Tonight we are at Alley Spring in Shannon County. It's located just about 5 miles west of Eminence. Alley Spring.
Broadcasting a news program in the wide open spaces presents special challenges to everyone in front of and behind the cameras. So many cables, microphones, and camera positions. So many things that could go wrong.
I knew we could do it. It was just, you know, from my standpoint, it was like, can I do it? You know, everybody had done the preparation work, and I knew that the minute we hit on the air, it was my job to make sure that everything went okay. And I was nervous about that.
Producers are known for worrying. That's what we do best. We're the ones who sit around and have to go, oh, no.
I hope you'll join us again tonight at 10 as we continue to celebrate Alley Spring.
The careful planning paid off. The newscast progressed smoothly, segment after segment, and in the end, everyone was happy.
All right.
You looked dynamite. It just looked great.
From the smiles and from everybody's faces, they went okay.
And it was like, we can do this. This isn't that hard.
And then after you get the first one done, it's like, all right, we've done it. Okay, we're ready. We're going, we're rolling, and we're going on the road. And that was fine.
We'll stay on that.
3 hours later, the Celebrate crew prepared for the 10 o'clock show and encountered a problem they'd anticipated with the bright TV lights: bugs.
You know what I think of these bugs? Kill these bugs. Can't do it. There's too many of them, man.
I have a can of off. I'm sure we're going to use it.
Go dry, sir.
You're covered. Thank you. Off? It's bug repellent.
I see.
The only reason I'm doing this, park ranger said tobacco smoke gets rid of the bugs. So I'm going to puff them around the set. One more thing. The 6 look great. The 10's going to look better. Let's go at it. Cheers! Yeah.
Every time you see a little puff of smoke,
that's
this
an
light,
insect frying.
insect going poof. So just bill us for bugs, okay? We got no problem.
Live from Alley Spring, Missouri in Shannon County, KY3 Action News celebrates the Ozarks.
And good evening. We are at Alley Mill live tonight, the first day of our Celebrate the Ozarks tour of Missouri and Arkansas.
Alley Mill is about 115 miles east of Springfield, and we're about 5 miles west of Eminence, Missouri.
Despite the bugs, the 10 newscast went well, and the crew realized that their worries about all the pieces fitting together and working were, for the most part, over.
How did you feel after that was all over with?
About 10 feet tall.
We're about to say goodbye to this beautiful blue oasis called Alley Springs in Shannon County. Tomorrow we'll be at the heart.
What no one could foresee at this time, however, were the rewards and challenges ahead, and the danger that loomed on their last day out. Afternoon of the third day on the road, the Buffalo River Valley south of Harrison, Arkansas. A hot, humid day. As the crew assembled the equipment, they thought about a situation coming up in just a few hours. They were scheduled to do the 6 news at this location, then tear down everything, pack it up, drive to Harrison, and set up again for the 10 news. It was the first time they would change locations between newscasts. Everyone wondered, could they move everything quickly enough and make it all work? The temperature and humidity both seemed in the 90s. Not a breath of wind. Extreme conditions for people and delicate electronic equipment. By mid-afternoon, everything was ready. The crew relaxed, spelling themselves for the work ahead. Most sought relief in air-conditioned production vehicles. A few enjoyed the Buffalo National River. 5 that afternoon, local people began gathering on the riverbank to watch the news. At each stop so far, folks had come by to see for themselves how it was done and to visit with news team members.
The most memorable thing about the whole thing was the fact that we were out with the people. And it was always my idea that we're talking about people, and we're coming one-on-one into the living room with people, and it was so good really to get out and to actually shake hands with and to touch the public.
So we're less than 2 minutes out. Standing by. Leanne, you'll have a pre-cue.
Live from the Buffalo River in Newton County,
Here we go, Leanne.
KY3 Action News celebrates the Ozarks.
Good evening. It's breathtaking natural beauty we're showing you live via satellite.
During live TV news programs, and on this production especially, reporters and technicians psych themselves to get through the show and to expect the unexpected. In the mobile control room, Director Robert Wallace calls the shots.
Of course, I'm watching on a monitor, so I know instantly what's going on with the cameras, where they are.
Suddenly, on the air, a problem. One of the 2 main cameras flickers and goes dead. Robert Wallace switches to another camera.
Okay, I've got a camera down. So immediately when that happens, a technician would go to that area.
No need to panic.
We don't have...
As soon as possible, they go off live cameras to tape stories and commercials.
We don't have any more shots on tape. That's the segment.
Now, I know that someone's going to take care of this, so what I've got to do is think of how we can get around this situation. So you've got to keep your mental state about you and figure out a way around it. That's the only thing that you can do. You can't panic. Panic is the worst thing that you can do in a crisis situation when you're live, because if you panic, that's going to start a domino effect, and you're just going to have problems down the road.
Did it less than 30, gentlemen.
You moved it.
Besides working with the broken camera, the crew starts loading for the move to Harrison. All this happening just off camera, even as the newscast is on the air.
When we come back, how to fish the Buffalo River, and Fred will be with a water witcher.
Stay tuned for more as we celebrate the Ozarks on the Buffalo River.
Excitement. You having fun yet?
Beginning to have a lot of fun.
10 seconds. Stand by. Camera 1. Stand by. You guys need to stay put right where you're at. Fred, you need to come over here a little bit.
There it is, gang. Hey, come on down. We're heading in. Let's go, gang. Here we go.
See you later.
Wait a minute, Reynolds, if you got your rubber duck yet.
I need it.
Despite the camera problem, the show ended as planned with a cooling wade into the river. A last moment of fun before the hard work of moving to Harrison began.
Celebrate the Ozarks with KY3. It's the summer celebration.
We just wrap those up.
Wrap those around the
Before this, carrying down and packing up all the equipment had taken crew members an hour and a half to 2 hours. Setting up another 2 hours. But their next newscast was less than 3.5 hours away. This time, in just 17 minutes, they were ready to leave.
Not bad at all.
That's all right. You're okay. Go.
7:15 that evening, the entire crew had arrived at the Harrison Square to set up on the courthouse lawn.
It was crazy. That was incredible. It just took a lot of concentration, a lot of team effort, and, you know, it was a challenge. It was a challenge to be in one place, see how quickly you could break down and go to another place. And people, you know, instead of looking at, oh my God, we've got to move and letting it be some giant problem, instead of people looked at it like a challenge and everybody was just running around trying to help.
Sure, everybody had to pitch in, and what the heck, I'm physically able. I'm older, but I'm physically able, and I thought I could pitch in. Furthermore, I'm hyper anyway, so I had to have something to do.
The setup went smoothly, and by news time, several hundred people had gathered. Many came to see in person news team members they'd watched on TV at home for years. It turned out to be the largest crowd on the entire trip.
We were simply in a town as an event, and we related to the people and they to us, and it was just nice, I think, on both sides of the fence.
People were very warm. They felt like they knew us, like we were their friends. And it was a good experience.
Celebrate crew members on both sides of the camera had a good experience that night in Harrison, and at other times along the way.
A lot of times they never see the people behind the camera. They only see the people who are in the front, and it was kind of nice to explain to them, you know, what we do here also.
Did anyone ask you for your autograph?
Yes, they did. Harrison, Arkansas, the first time down on the square after I got done, they came up and said, can I have your autograph? And I was like, well, don't you want to talk to like Steve or Tony or somebody else who's on the air? And they said, no, it's okay. Just go ahead. I want your autograph too. And I was like, okay. And so I signed it out.
And we'll move on to the baseball scoreboard for tonight. You had an audience. They were standing around staring at you. Great. The more the better. And they applauded you when you went at the end of the newscast. God, if they hadn't, Ed, it would have really been problems. If they'd thrown things at me, that would have been worse.
That night, the Harrison show ended with a concert by a group called the Ding-a-lings. Some Celebrate crew members said that word described the KY3 people's state of mind at the end of one of those 18-hour days. By now, the pace of life on the road had become a routine of setup, doing the news show, tear down, travel. Long days, fast food, and hard work. But despite the rigors of road life, they had fun.
It's the most fun and the least fun I've ever had in my life.
Shower now. Now back to Tony and Leanne quick.
I hope he can swim. That's all I can say.
Well, you can tell Ned Reynolds, he don't look near as pretty on TV as he does. Pretty sure doesn't.
No, got room. All right, I'll ride with you.
No, I don't.
All right. I'll ride with him. I can't find right.
The Celebrate crew say they'll remember the last few days on the road because of the extreme weather. Hahatonka in Camden County, day 8. The temperature climbed over 100.
Some places like Hahatonka, it was really hard to concentrate on what we were doing, and sitting up in the chair, it was so stifling. Sometimes it hurt to breathe because we had the hot lights on us as well as the heat.
air conditioners ran full blast or broke down with the overload.
Ha Tonka, sitting in the Winnebago typing news scripts on the typewriter, and my fingers and hands were sweating so bad I couldn't keep them on the keyboard. It was like 110 degrees inside of there. And it was that much outside, too.
If I pass out at some point, would you please tilt the camera down and get...
Heat records fell that day. At news time, it was 108 at Ha Tonka. But coping with the record-breaking heat was nothing compared to weather conditions the crew would face their last day out. Friday, August 1st, 1986, the Ozark Empire Fair in Springfield, last stop on the tour. During the 6 News, radar was picking up a thunderstorm building in the west.
This just in, there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock for Barden and Vernon counties. Stay posted. We will let you know if there are any changes in the weather conditions.
As a matter of fact, I just saw the first raindrop, the first one we've seen in a long, long time, so it's...
As soon as the newscast was over that night, the crew prepared for rain.
We had been so lucky with weather the whole trip. And then at the last minute, you know, it's like, no. God says, we're not going to let you get by. We're going to rain on you once. And not only are we going to rain on you, but we're going to rain on you hard.
For those who haven't realized, it is raining outside.
Yeah, we've got some real good stuff coming in. And it's moving rapidly, or it wouldn't be so severe. So give it another
Reporters and producers met inside their RV to plan the 10 o'clock news show.
Well,
how's it going?
We've got rain locations everywhere. No problem.
The crew hoped the storm would pass in time for the 10 News.
You got a good back?
But the storm grew heavier.
There we go.
Again, a tornado warning was just issued for Springfield and for Green County.
Stay cover immediately. This is a very strong storm. Tornadic cell is now moving through parts of Green County.
Anytime there is a tornado warning in a county, and I'm in that county, I have concerns for my safety.
We're advising motorists, please get off the roadway and to take precautions and to find a safe place.
I was a little worried. I thought maybe the tornado would come and take away our RV with us in it.
Let's go get the log building. Come on.
At this time.
They decided to run for shelter in the Fairgrounds Arena building.
Come on. Let's go.
It was the first time I ever felt really threatened by a storm. I've always been there after the storm happened. It was well past when I covered it and could see a little bit of the destruction.
Guys, get out of here! We'll recap again that there's a tornado warning in effect.
By two-way radio, they learned the KY3 studio had been hit by lightning and was off the air.
It was something took a direct hit at the station and knocked us off the air.
A half hour later, back in the KY3 newsroom, reporters wrote storm damage stories under emergency power. Barely enough electricity to get the station back on the air.
Radar indicates a cluster of very heavy thunderstorms over Howell and Texas counties moving to the southeast at 50 miles an hour. Taney and Greene counties, including the city of Springfield, remain under a severe thunderstorm warning. Stay tuned to KY3 for further weather developments.
Later at the fairgrounds, the storm passed, the rain eased up, and the Celebrate crew borrowed a domed tent to protect cameras, lights, and people from the rain. It was shaping up to be an unusual newscast.
Are we still on emergency power at the station? Yes, we are.
It was a little tense. Here we are, and there's no way to go back to the station because there's nothing there. It's down because of lightning. Going through my mind is, if we can get this thing on the air, this is going to be one heck of a show.
They'd revised their newscast to include storm damage reports. Some of the fair events they'd planned to cover had been rained out, plus the entire show would be continuous, no commercials. That tape machine was down.
This is live.
Live from the Ozark Empire Fair in Springfield, Missouri, KY3 Action News Update celebrates the Ozarks.
And while the civil defense of the national... Yeah, we were winging it, sure. We needed to go on. We had some stories to tell, stories to run, and certainly we had a storm to cover.
Directed other fairgoers, exhibitors, and carnival workers.
It's called Fly by the Seat of Your Pants news.
And the as I turn pages and find out where we are, we'll tell you that the economic impact of the
It was crazy. It was crazy. It wasn't fun until it was over. And then you look back and say, yeah, it was kind of fun. But
And we thank you again for an enjoyable 2 weeks of celebrating the Ozarks. Good night from the Ozark Empire Fair. I think the best thing was just getting away from the station and being out there in the viewing area was the main thing.
Yeah, my final words on the project would be, let's do it again.
Good job, man. Thank you. Good 2 weeks. Oh, it's been great. Just fantastic. A heck of a way to end it all, huh? Filmer, get away from me.
Celebrate the Ozarks with KY3. It's a summer celebration for you and me.